brightly shining, even though it's daytime. Hey, Daggerheart, you better finish your playtest soon. Happy Pearl Harbor Day and first night of Hanukkah, my fellow Who's in Whoville. It is I, the Grinch that stole Thursday, the OGGM at 8:02 in the morning on this, the 7th day of December, Pearl Harbor Day, a moment of silence. And the first night of Hanukkah. And it's Thursday, which means it's time for Dagger Heart Beats. Bam! I'm still keeping that name. Yeah, it's my name. Don't anybody else try and use it. What's up with Daggerheart, Candela Obscura, Illuminated Whatever, and Critical Role this week post PAX? We're so busy focusing on the Wizards of the Coast news out of PAX, and so busy we're focusing out of the Goodman Games news coming out of PAX, we completely forgot about Daggerheart. And they were there. Mercer was there. Jeannie D was there. Stefan was there. Bob Worldbuilder was there, and actually got a chance to play Daggerheart with Mercer and Jeannie D and others. And he did a video about it, which I've linked down below. And we have a little bit more insight on Daggerheart, and it still feels a little too gimmicky to me, but let's take a look. First, this week's numbers on Twitch. Let's see. We got Candle Obscura Chapter 3. That's with the new one. That's with Episode 1. This is the one where people got upset because they had new people on it. How dare you hire new actors? And then we had, and that had 97.1K views. And then we had Four-Sided Dice, where they talk about Episode 19, and where they're discussing Chapter 3, Episode 78. So it's a show about them talking about their other show, and that had 66.9K views. And I'm sorry, but until the Candle Obscura views get over 100, I still don't think it's as successful as they wanted it to be. And I really think they need to stop focusing on that Candle Obscura energy and start focusing that energy on Daggerheart or Illuminated Worlds. I think there's curiosity about Illuminated Worlds as a generic system. But that curiosity is waning, and the imperative, the impulse, the energy, the what are other words that sound like I know what I'm talking about behind Daggerheart are also fading, especially since Matt Colville's game just went live to Kickstarter, which means Matt Colville finished before you did, and he only announced his a couple weeks ago. All right, let's go to YouTube numbers. Their Red Nose Day Choose Your Own Adventure got 223K views. Candle Obscura Episode 1 with the new cast. How dare you hire new actors and none of them are me? Got 91.K views. Mitz Season 2 Episode 15 got 10K views. Oh my God, that's sad. And Four-Sided Dive Episode 19 got 103K views. More people wanted to watch them talk about Critical Role and look at a dog than they did wanted to talk about actually playing Candle Obscura. So, be that as it may. Okay, so Bob Worldbuilder got to meet Mercer and play a game of Daggerheart. Notice we have still no new information on Daggerheart on the page. The playtest is still open. If anybody's gotten invited to it, let me know. But I've heard plenty of people got the same Dear John letter that I did. So Bob Worldbuilder, who I generally respect and usually feels like he's, got something to say. And here he is where he met Jeannie D, who apparently is short. So what did we learn? Bob, first off, let's see if I can find it. Okay, they've changed the layout of the page. So the character sheet now looks more like a real character sheet, and the cards don't have to be on the sheet anymore. You just play them to the side, and you could choose to use them, or I guess hopefully not use them. The cards should be optional, I think. It should be an ability you could use, whether it's just on the sheet, but also just show the card. The card definitely, adds that visual pump to it. And I love the idea of the cards, but I also think it's very gimmicky. And I think it's just another thing that could be lost. But hey, it is a great merch idea for people on Etsy and the Critical Role fans who love making stuff for Critical Role. Now they could make, character specific cards for Daggerheart. Very brilliant, if that was intention. So thanks for letting me clip this, Bob. All right, so first thing, armor. Monsters don't roll to hit. They just automatically do damage. Yeah, that's not new. Okay, I hope Bob doesn't think that's a new mechanic. I think True 20 used that, and I'm sure there were systems that did that before. So monsters just automatically do damage. So bam, Bigwig the Kobold runs up, stabs me, automatically does 4 points of damage. What I can do is spend armor points to soak that damage into the armor. So if I have 10 armor points, I can spend an armor dice to soak a certain amount of damage, and I think it's a D4. At least that's the example Bob gave. So when Bigwig stabs me with his dagger and does 4 points of damage, I could choose to spend 1 point of my 10 points of armor to soak that by rolling a D4, and that's how much the armor soaks. And then I guess, the better the armor, either the more dice you roll or the more points you have, which means the more you can invest. Let's say Bigwig got a critical and he does like 32 points of damage with a dagger, and I've got 12 or 15 armor points. That's 15 potential D4s I could roll to soak that damage. Or I can choose to take the damage. I can just go, what? I can take 4 points of damage. I'm not going to waste the dice roll now. I'd rather save it for when Bigwig's friend, the gigantic, ogre, hits me with that club, because then I'm really going to need it. Okay, so that's how armor works. Bob said it worked really great. It's very smooth. It takes a lot of time away from, how combat is just sort of makes combat more fluid. I'd have to see it. It feels like it would be more fluid, but it also feels like now I'm still doing, you're still doing math. It's just soak points as opposed to whether did I hit or did I miss. You are now gambling that you're going to roll enough soak points to make the damage worthwhile. I don't know. I also don't know what I just said, but you know what I mean. Is it worthwhile to gamble that you're going to spend that dice now and soak enough that it keeps you alive long enough to get to the next fight? Or do you save the dice gambling that the next bash you're going to take is going to be worth spending more dice? All right. So initiative works with something called action tokens, where everybody can, basically, and this is where things break down in communication. There's no initiative. Anybody can go at any point in time if they have a great idea. So you're going to have a lot of people arguing over each other. See, one of the things I respect and, at a game is if it's not my turn, unless I'm encouraging another player or I have like an ability to influence another player, I don't talk unless it's my turn when combat breaks out, because I don't want to distract attention from the DM and the other player. And I think a lot of other people should do that, but not a lot of people don't. We've seen combats where if the person isn't on stage, they're looking at their phone or they're talking to somebody else. So I deeply respect the fact that if I'm not on camera, if it's not my action, I try not to talk unless it's just to go like, come on, Steve, you can do it. Or, if I have an out of action, like, oh, I've got an ability that gives them +1 to their next roll. I'm going to use that because I can use it. You know what I mean? I don't like to talk, and I don't like to talk over the other players, and I definitely don't like to talk over the DM. So having an initiative system based around you can just do whatever you want whenever you want, you just have to give a DM an action token at any point in time. That feels like it's just going to be a lot of people arguing and a lot of people talking and a lot of people going, oh, yeah, you can do this. And then why don't you spend an action point? And then I'll spend my action point. And then I don't know. Bob said it worked really great. It was very fluid, but also you had a lot of people who are very respectable of each other. Jeannie D is going to respect the DM, and, Jeannie D is going to respect Bob, and Jeannie D is going to respect the thing. And so, I don't see Genie D really talking a lot out of turn, and being much more, it's your turn. Same with Bob. I think Bob is the kind of guy who'd go, okay, you're talking now. I don't want to interrupt you. I would be the same thing. I'd be like, hey, I'm going to spend my action point now. So anyway, what you do is you hand the DM an action token, and you're basically telling the DM, I'm taking my action now. All right. Then you do whatever you're going to do. And the DM gets to save up these action tokens. And then when his bad guys go, he can choose to spend the action tokens to have the bad guys do cooler and cooler things. So he could just have Bigwig the Kobold stab you, or he could spend some of the action tokens you've given him to have the bad guy do more cool stuff. And initiative still works the same. The bad guys don't get to do anything unless you fuck up, which means if you have a round where nobody in your party fucks up, the bad guys don't get to do anything. If everybody in your party has a successful roll and the bad guys can't act unless you mess up, you could technically feasibly have an encounter where the bad guy just stands there because none of you messed up. That's dumb. I don't like that, but Bob says that's still a thing, or a variation of that thing. Now, building up the action tokens to spend them at a later point of time. Yeah, that sounds really familiar because that's Benny's from Savage World. So once again, Steven showing us he really has no. Steven, you're really great at borrowing stuff from other games, cobbling it together to see a new game, but I want to see something original. No, it just means you're willing to, in combat, realistically, it means, yeah, I'm choosing not to roll, which means, yeah, the dagger got through. I'll take the 4 points. Doesn't mean you took the armor off. It just means instead of the DM rolling and saying, you've got an armor class 12, I rolled a 15, you're taking 4 points of damage. It's you deciding, yeah, he hit me or he didn't hit me, gambling whether, taking that 4 now is worth it. It's just a different way to do the same thing. It's not original. I think True 20 had it, and I'm sure there's other systems that have it before 220. Yeah, it's not original. Is it quicker than regular combat? I don't know. Bob says it is. I respect Bob enough to think that he's telling the truth. So this action point thing sounds okay. Again, it's one of those things I need to see work. And again, Bob was in very much of a vacuum because he was at a table with a lot of people who are willing to work with each other and who respect each other. I don't know if that just go whatever I want mentality would work at a normal gaming table where people are always just, oh, fuck you, I'm going to go now, blah, 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 blah. I don't know, man. Again, I'd have to see it in play. And the monsters don't go unless you mess up. I don't like that at all. Because, feasibly, if you're playing with 3 people and every one of them succeeds in their dice roll and not a single one of them gets a fear roll or whatever it's called, feasibly, the bad guy could just stand there and let you womp on him unless the DM spending action points allows the DM to circumvent the rule that says bad guys only act when the good guys fuck up. And if the DM has the ability to do that when every time you spend an action point to do something, then why have that rule in at all? It's still using 2d12. It still uses the cards. Bob got to take some stuff home. And I'm sure he's going to go into it more. He's going to do another video about it. Got lots of weird races. And here Bob got to look at the cards. Here's all the weird races you can be. Sure, I can be whatever. Okay, appealing to the Critical Role fan base, furry fan base, the I like weird, cute, bizarre character fan base. Great. The built-in energy is there. Okay. you will get the Critical Role fan base to follow you if you decide campaign 4 is going to be the campaign where you transition from 5e to Daggerheart. Fuck, you could still do it in campaign 3 because campaign 3 is still going, where you could slowly start transitioning out of 5e and into Daggerheart. But we need to know that's what's going to happen, okay? Because all these quirky, gimmicky ideas that are in no way original, you know, other than the bad guys never going original. And even that's, is that a, I don't know if I've ever heard of that before, but it does sound very video gamey. So yeah, that's kind of dumb. But yeah, I mean, everything that Steven has thrown into Daggerheart are things Steven cobbled from other games. So, and it's very gimmicky, still gimmicky. The cards are still gimmicky. Weird Dice is still gimmicky, but from a business point of view, it's brilliant. Because now I don't know if this is actually what happened, but I can speculate that, you know, the Daggerheart people knows that they have this multi-$1,000 industry of critters who make product based upon Critical Role and sell it on Etsy and other things, right? So by introducing the mechanics of the weird dice and weird cards and weird character sheets, you're automatically backdooring to the Etsy crowd, to the crowd that wants to make merch and cosplay and do stuff based upon Critical Role, and go, hey, you could feasibly make money off of making individual cards based upon the card mechanic in Daggerheart. And, you know, this Etsy artist could make theirs, and that Etsy artist can make theirs, and that Etsy artist can make theirs. And if you want a special deck of cards specifically built around your character, you could pay an Etsy artist to create the cards specifically built around your character, since the card mechanic is part of Daggerheart. Same with the specialty dice, same with the specialty sheets. Those are all things that people can make. And we know that there's a huge makers culture for Critical Role. So that's a huge culture of built-in fans who will switch over to Daggerheart and start making merch for Daggerheart. Now, I don't know how much or any percentage of that Critical Role gets every time somebody on Etsy, sells a I Love Scanlan t-shirt. Maybe they get, I don't know if Critical Role actually gets any money off of those or not. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I'd have to talk to an Etsy artist. Water. But it's free press. It's free press. And it's re-energizing that built-in fan base to stay loyal, because they want to watch every episode of Critical Role to see what new merch they can make. And if you switch that energy over to Daggerheart, that's a couple 100,000 people who will instantly go over to Daggerheart and leave D&D behind. And if you're Mercer, that's what you want. That's what you want. You want to start letting people know that Daggerheart is the game you're pushing. Please make Daggerheart merch. Instead, it feels like you're pushing Candle Obscura, and the numbers show us that's not the choice you should be making. People are not watching Candle Obscura. They want to, I think people want to know what you're doing with Daggerheart. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think that's what people want. Oh, allergies. So that's the biggest mistake right now. But the only reason why Bob got to show us all this stuff and not sign an NDA is that Steven and company still want us to know it's still a work in progress. They're still playtesting it. They're still not finished. So the product that Jeannie D and Bob Worldbuilder saw at PAX Unplugged is not the finished product. So still things could change. Great. Wonderful. Fine. Whatever. But it's the end of the year. Okay. You've got 2 weeks and change basically to let us know what your plans are for 2024 before Wizards of the Coast runs roughshod over everybody. January's coming up. It's the anniversary of the OGL nonsense. There's another big chance for Wizards of the Coast to fuck up and get all the attention turned back at them. So if I'm Matt Mercer and I'm Daggerheart and I want people to know this is going to be a thing in 2024, I really need to start letting people know this is going to be a thing, in 2024, and I need to start giving people a general idea of when it's going to come out, and hopefully it comes out before D&D, so you can take all that D&D energy and redirect it towards Daggerheart. Right now, people are like, yeah, I'm curious, but there's 100 other games coming out in 2024. What has your game got? Let me see it. What are you doing? You're not really telling us. But that's just my opinion. And that's our Daggerheart Beats for the week. But damn, thanks to Bob Willbuilder for posting the video. Links down below. Congratulations, Jeannie D. You got to play. I remember you saying a couple of weeks ago, a month ago, 2 ago, how upset you were that you weren't invited to see Daggerheart. Well, now you got it. So congratulations, Jeannie. Hey, I only live a couple miles from you guys in Calabasas here in Ventura. Why don't you toss me some play tests? I'll come play. I'll Uber there. I'm curious. I give you more free press than almost anybody else on the internet. Toss me a t-shirt. Anyways, that's Daggerheart Beats for this week. If you appreciate this, let me know. If you never want to hear me talk about Daggerheart ever again, let me know. If you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Help me hit 2,000 subs by the end of the year. And I'll talk to you later today.